Yep. Next we have "Wanna Go Back," and what the hell is that opening? The opening is so weird, but I think it leads into like a really great instrumental. Though I think there's a great mix of guitar and bass in the instrumentals for the song. It's just got that like nice mid-tempo, like funky vibe to it. Another song that kind of gives off that retro vibe, like you said, would fit on their last album. And I like how the song lingers at the end. That definitely stood out to me. It kind of like the way the song ends, and it's hard to describe, but yeah, it just feels like it lingers, and I thought that was a really interesting way to end the song.
Okay, so for me, I don't know whether this is going to be posted before or after my first listen is released, but I actually accidentally skipped over this song. And like 5 hours later, as I was like going through like the video before like sending it to someone else to edit, I was like, oh my goodness, wait, I only listened to 4 tracks. Wait, where's the 5th? And then I realized that I accidentally skipped this. So
Whoopsie.
I listened to this at the very end, and I think like overall, like I ended up having kind of more of a negative opinion, but like, man, these lyrics are
the lyrics
so
are good?
relatable. Like literally right before we started our call, I was just sobbing my face off because I can relate to these lyrics. Like Akdong musicians will last forever. Anything about wanting to go back to your childhood, like I extremely relate to right now, because I don't want to be a responsible 21-year-old. I just want to be 5, not know the shit that's going on in the world, just playing with fairies and dragons and mermaids and
I don't want to pay taxes
and ignoring the internet. Oh my god, yeah, no taxes. Anyways, yeah, okay, so I also really enjoyed I like, after delving into it more, the rhythmic surprise at the beginning, because when at the very beginning, if you don't quite know where to bob your head, but then when the chords you come in, you think, okay, that's the strong beat. So then you start bobbing your head to when those chords come in, which makes it, yeah. So basically you think that's the downbeat, but actually, those chords are actually on beat 4, and the whole thing is just super rhythmically syncopated. And I love the verses melodies. The first melody, I guess the second melody is also pretty similar, or verse melody, but it doesn't really feel typical to me. I couldn't really predict what the melody was, nor could I predict immediately like what the scale degrees were, because when melody easily follows chord progression, you can be like, oh, it's this specific note that's being played right now, and I'm like, wait, what are these intervals? I can't quite figure it out, so I like it. And then the chorus, it really reminds me of Be Lazy. Their song Be Lazy, the B-side track. Never be lazy.
Almost the same melody too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I also feel like it's actually mixed with like a YG vibe. Like it kind of reminds me of Winner's group sound, right? And then in summary, I just really freaking love the verses. I don't like the chorus. But my complaint is probably not going to last long, because after I read those lyrics, like I just started crying, and I don't know. It's so weird, because there are certain songs that I listen to that I don't like at all, and then I read the lyrics and it does nothing. But like this song, I didn't dislike it. I just wasn't, mind blown by it. But now that I know the lyrics, I like it even more. So I guess it really just depends on how much I dislike a song for the lyrics to affect or not affect.
Yeah.
And then with this song and this album, and I think it's ever since Stop the Rain, I feel like DAY6 has started a love, like wanting to change the chords on an offbeat, so they like they're ba 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 ba, like on the and beat, the weak beat. So they love syncopated progressions now. Your turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were done, but I mean, it's a great thing for me to follow up on, just because, well, I think I liked it a lot initially. didn't have a negative reaction just because, again, I'm a huge fan of just like this sort of 70s 80s sound. Again, I feel like this song is probably the most similar to Days Gone By in terms of vibe and just sort of just how twangy the guitars are. Just again, it has a super sort of vintage feel to I guess the instrumentation, and it's not, you wouldn't really get that without this really well. I like the chord progression because I feel it's pretty much persistent both through the verse and the chorus, like very sort of similar type of progression in both areas. So I like the consistency between that. Also, the most important part of the song, friggin' Dowoon has the line of the goddamn year.
I saw that coming. I was like,
I didn't.
Okay,
I did
listened
not.
to this whole album, and Dowoon hasn't sung yet. It's gonna be in this song.
I'm just like, yeah. I'm actually, yeah. As much as I love his voice, just because he has such a deep baritone type of voice compared to most of the rest of DAY6. I like that they use him sparingly, so that whenever you hear it, it's just like an oh my god, like special type of moment. So yeah, that's pretty much like Dowoon essentially sealed my enjoyment of this song just because he has a line in this. I don't think I hate any song that he has lines in. So I'm just happy that the little drummer boy gets to sing too.
All right, so going off the last song, coming from it rather, which I wanted to hear a little more guitar on, this definitely satisfies that request.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting because like Umu was saying, it kind of sounds a little bit like Winter. I could totally see this being produced as like a tropical house song, but I'm glad they stuck with like the traditional like guitar instrumentals, because I think it I don't know, it's still nice and summery, and it's not I think if they did that, it would have ended up being too generic, whereas I feel like right here how it is more classic, I guess. So I like the use of pauses between the guitar strums that they use during one of Wonpil's verses towards the middle. And then another thing I'd like to shout out is the drumming again. I thought it was really nice and like full sounding during the bridge, which I thought was pretty cool. And then after the bridge, again, I was like, was that a Dowoon verse? So yeah, I also like that part as well.
Off guard. Because I'm sure it throws people who like don't know like members as closely or just like listen to the music. They just like they're familiar with the voices and they're just like, who is this person? Is there a guest vocal on this track?
Yeah.
Dowoon needs more love.
His because of he still has braces, right? Or did he get his braces off?
I have no idea.
I don't think he has them.
Because I'm kind of curious
on
how they would incorporate him in the future, because I feel like his talking and singing, it's just his character, he kind of talks like a kid, right? Am I wrong? It's like like this little light childish innocenceness that came through when he sang too. So if they have more of him singing, it will be just small moments like this where it's in a lighter vibe, and it's okay to have this new sudden like youth with a voice, because I really feel like his voice has that the others don't have. So like I'm curious to see if they incorporate him more, like how to do that.
So moral of the story, don't take his braces off even when his teeth are like perfect. Just leave him in until he's like 40 years old and he's not an idol anymore.
You all good, Jacob? Is that everything?
Oh yeah.
On the song? Yeah, okay. Next we have cover.
Which isn't a cover.
It's not a cover. It's a ballad, but it's a really cool one. The different guitar parts being split into different channels is like a really cool idea, really cool effect that it gives off. And honestly, I barely paid attention to the rest of the song because of it. I was just like so focused on listening to the two guitar parts. Obviously the vocals are fantastic. The piano part was great. But yeah, that guitar part was just really, really cool.
Bros, I really freaking love this song.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, DAY6, okay, so I know we've all had this conversation before about ballads, and as I've started listening to every single K-pop song released while I'm asleep to my daily schedule, I've run into more and more and more ballads. And yes, they actually do all sound the same because they play to the same ballad tropes, which a lot of people love. So I'm not saying, oh my goodness, it's bad. How no, there's a reason why you love a lot of ballads or dislike a lot of ballads. It's because they all do similar things. But I don't think, at least all the DAY6 songs I own, they never compose a bad ballad song.
Yeah, no, not a single one is bad.
Every single one just would not go on my every single ballads ever playlist, which I have created, and Sean and I will be composing a song, possibly called Every Single Ballad Ever, where it will sound like every single ballad ever.
Please do that.
Specifically K ballad ever. Okay.
So in the same vein as like the show must go on, or
it would just not with the vocalist. It wouldn't be. We'd probably have like normal ballad instrumentation. It would literally be written like a pop song, maybe a tiny bit longer, so we can include more tropes, or we'll just try and smash all the tropes into one 3-minute, 40-second, or 4-minute song. And if I don't know, Sean wants me to be the vocalist, but I still don't think I'm that good.
Do it.
So maybe I'll get a few vocal lessons and I'll be the vocalist, and then we'll have piano and guitar and strings.
If you want to hear
even
Umu,
like a drum set that comes at the end.
If you want to hear Umu sing, leave a like. Leave 69 in the comments, so we know that you all want to see Umu sing.
Oh my god! Please don't. It will or will not happen. We'll try. We'll get a better vocalist than me. Anyways, okay. Moving on to covers. So the piano rhythm is Bill Withers' "Lean on Me." You know, lean on me, ba da ba ba. When I'm not strong, and I'll be your friend. So, except of course, like they use the rhythm differently, but like that's the first thing that popped into my mind when I listened to it.
Yeah, same thing. The instant I heard this, I was like, this sounds like a John Lennon song.
Yeah, so they use that, but like in "Lean on Me," the syncopated one da da, that is echoed in the vocal line. So it's in both the piano and the vocal line. But here, the melody doesn't always have the same rhythmic pattern as the instrumental. Some, like, I think once or twice it lines up, but then the syncopation is used like as a transition between phrases. And then it's not too common for a bridge to do a half step by half step by half step modulation up and then back down and then back up. Like that was
it was all over the place.
I'm like, wait, did it just do like steps up to the original key, like just going up a scale? But then like I plunked it out on the piano and it's like half step up, half step up, half step up, and then it goes down, and then like maybe it's like a minor third leap up, and then it ends in the key that it started in. And like another song that does that is Taeyong's "This Christmas." In her bridge, she just keeps modulating up and up and up and up until she arrives in the original key, which I think it's really, really good for an energy build. And so I am so surprised they didn't modulate one last time after the drum fill. Like, because I'm like, if I ever meet DAY6, one of the very first questions I'm going to ask them is like, you had two chances, one in cover and one in congratulations, where like almost any other artist would modulate in the third chorus. Like you 100% like set up musically for a key change in the last chorus, but you didn't. Tell me why. Like, what is a modulation to you? That's what I asked them. And then I love the harmonic. So, okay, sorry, I have a lot of notes. So basically at the intro, when the piano is playing a chord, it lasts for 4 beats, and then it plays another chord, it lasts for 4 beats, but then the guitar changes 2 beats. And then the verse 1 starts, and then the piano continues to have a harmony that lasts 4 beats, except it's released on the 4th beat, so we have silence every 4th beat. So it's the same harmonic rhythm, but on variation on it. And then the pre-chorus come, and when James comes in, the chords start changing every 2 beats. So like this has been like 20 seconds, and we've already have like
so many changes
happening. And then the chorus has no more steady harmonic changing on strong, because we have that syncopated lean on me 1 2 3 and 4 and that's what I love, is that the vocal line really emphasizes the weak beat before the downbeat. So it emphasizes the 3 and 4 and it's like da, 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 da. Like it's hard to say that without like all the instrumental going on behind my singing. But then the second half of the chorus is the same harmonic rhythm but different harmony. I wrote that down, but I cannot picture it in my mind right now. And then the second verse, a lot of the material returns, but there's a new electric guitar line. And yeah, just overall, I think this song was both rhythmically and it was just gorgeous. And like I felt like it's kind of like a bittersweet song, but then I read the lyrics and it just makes it so much more depressing. I was like, oh, this is sad. This is really sad. So now I know how to feel into this. Your turn.
Okay. This probably could have been a single, in all honesty, because I mean, it is drawing upon the same, type of emotions and sort of same type of like feel that they had with like Congratulations and Letting Go. Basically, like that was like before they started doing the whole like every DAY6 anime song type thing. Like that was DAY6's bread and butter, like back in like 2016. So yeah, it's a sound I don't necessarily I don't mind them returning to this just because they do it so well. Like again, like we mentioned, they don't do boring ballads, and this is no exception, especially in terms of how strong this piano section is. Just it feels like the highlight of the entire just song. Also, it's interesting you're drawing comparisons to sort of I guess very similar songs to what I'm drawing comparisons to, because I thought of like the Beatles. Like it's straight up like if you want an incredible listening experience, listen to Cover and then go listen to Let It Be like back to back. It'll just blow your mind, because it's almost like the same sort of thing. It's like do 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 do, and then it's like let it be, like it like the first time the first time I realized it, it's just like this is why I don't do drugs. I just need to listen to songs that sound the same. It's just I get enough enjoyment out of it. And also just again sort of carrying upon that Beatles sort of similarity to it. The drum section in this, again, I know it's nothing too crazy or like you're not getting like double bass or whatever. It's definitely something I like Ringo Starr's playbook in terms of how the build up is, and the fill towards the end is straight up a Ringo Starr style like fill. Like again, I feel like he got such a like the bad I don't know, just time hasn't I guess treated him well necessarily in terms of like prolific drummers of all time or whatever. But I mean, what the stuff he was doing, like especially back in the 70s, was just, and with as simple of a kit as just literally just like a tom, a snare, like a crash hi-hat, basically he had the most basic of kits, but he was able to do such incredible technical, sort of things on their music. And I definitely feel a lot of that in this song. So if I'm drawing Beatles comparisons, that's I guess that's just that goes to show in a nutshell just how much I love this song. And it probably is my favorite one on the entire album, in all honesty. I can't get sick of this in all honesty. So yeah, it almost makes me wish that it was the single, just because I feel it would have been just as epic as having Time of Our Life as the single.
Yeah, I feel like this is like on par with All Alone, and in fact, I'm trying to get this to be compared to All Alone on the main series. I just need to run it by people first. Yeah. So I mean, it makes sense why they chose whatever it's called, time. Okay, thank you. That was what I was gonna say. It makes sense why they chose that, but also like as good as that to be the title track, but just like it's it's a different direction. Yeah.
Jacob.
Okay.
You guys commented on most of what I wanted to say, but I guess I'll go with the things that weren't discussed as much. Another quick comment from me on the production in regards to how the vocals were placed. I really appreciate the amount of like space they placed between the vocals and the piano and guitar-led instrumentals.
Yeah.
I like when I wish they did it more often, and a lot of songs wouldn't, because I enjoy there to be a lot of space between the instruments, so I can like sort of listen to different sections at a time when I at my pleasing, I guess. I also like the vocal layering that they use. I think that also does a good job to fill the space and make it sound very big and full sounding. And then also before the last chorus, I like how they went like full on gentle just to put more emphasis onto the last chorus. I guess it made it sound more hard hitting. And yeah, so overall that lent nicely to the amount of imports the last chorus gave. So yeah, this was definitely one of the top songs in the album for me, though.
Glad we're all in agreement.
Yep. And finally we have the best part. And honestly, this is probably what
Uma's dying
Sorry.
already, and she hasn't even said anything.
Well, I was trying to sing the melody, but I guess it
Oh,
came
yeah.
across as that.
It came across as that. Sorry, we
It
can't
came
see you.
across as
I'm
you
sorry.
freaking out.
Clemus,
but,
don't cancel me, please.
This is probably my favorite song on the album. I thought it was interesting because the opening beat is way more intense than the instrumentals that come in. And like it starts out kind of with like a bit of an acoustic ballad style with that crazy beat, but then it picks up more and more as the beat comes in. And for our regular listeners, you guys know like I love songs that slowly build layers into their instrumentals. Like they'll just start out simple and slowly add instruments or just different layers of instrumentals. And I think the song does it really well. I think it builds in some really great ways. So I thought it was a great song to end the album on.
Yeah, okay. So I think because this followed up cover, my first listen, I was pretty critical and when technically listening to it. But then I've re-listened to it many times since then, and every single time I listen to it, I like it more and more and more.
Yep.
But it's
a
also
grower.
if I listen to it without trying to analyze it, because this one it's like we mentioned before, this album is to make you feel good, right?
Yep.
And this is just one of those release everything, like release all your stress, just let the weight lift off of your shoulders type song. So I like really freaking dig this song right now. And I will just keep digging it more and more the more I listen to it. So the best part is I think it's the stacked vocals. It shows up in both the pre-chorus and then after the instrumental drop in for the chorus. So it's like best part, like, and it's like stacks of, it is so beautiful. But I think also, yes, okay, you've got the key. I don't. How the very first time Younghae sings can you sing that again?
Best part.
Okay. So when Younghae sings best part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so he changes notes on the very last beat of the second bar of holding that one note out. But then when Wonpil comes in, or whoever the second person singing is, depending on which course you're listening to, the rhythm has changed. So it's best part. Or it comes in a beat earlier than before, which I didn't realize until like I was like really trying to find something to say, which is really cool because like they definitely could have just like copy pasted that melody over, but no, instead they decided to change it up and make it, shorter. And then when I read the lyrics, I would have never guessed that these lyrics would have gone with this vibe of the song. But now that I know that, every night when I close my eyes and become more and more afraid that I will not have a tomorrow, like. The instrumental is such a release. I guess, like, in a way, the instrumental is a reply to these anxieties that the lyrics are mentioning. Like, there is not a single moment that is meaningless to me. Not knowing when the end is. This moment is the best part. So like there's like almost like a little story being told versus the verses of the song versus the chorus.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like this song.
Like you said, it's the best part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in terms of placement, yeah, this was the best place to put this at. Just great energy to end the album off with. You did mention the sort of like how they stack the vocals. I personally, I want to bring attention to just how I guess the sort of like drop or the sort of instrumentals come in during the chorus. It's almost like the guitar and the sort of piano melody, they're almost doing like the same type of like riff structure. It's incredible. Just like they're following like the very similar like noisy, energetic type of feel. Again, trying to draw comparisons from like Western music or just some other influences. I definitely feel, and you were mentioning it, just like how like this song feels like a release in terms of just like, I don't know, stress or like anxiety or whatever this whatever the I guess like lyrics entail, but it definitely feels like something that Coldplay would do. Very similar type of just, you know, loud, noisy, energetic vibe during the chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically,
the instrumental break during the chorus reminded me of some artist. I was like, I can't remember who.
Yeah, just like the second I heard this, I was like, this is a Coldplay song. Like, it's definitely just like in the sort of like area of like Coldplay, or you can get a lot of like U2, Where the Streets Have No Name out of it, especially with the way the guitar is going. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Jay and Sungjin being very well versed in you know music history. The 8 is one of the most influential guitarists of all time. Just the way he just his strumming patterns, or just like the way that he uses delays, has just basically been influential in all music. Like even like contemporary Christian music like follows like this type of like, I guess, I don't know, chord structure, or just like how they build up their songs, like Hillsong United, stuff like this. So I definitely feel a lot of the influence in this, and I definitely resonate with the sound that they're going for here a lot. And it's something I don't really think I've heard from Day6 before. I mean, again, that's the beauty of I guess being an idol band, where I guess it's so funny because like in traditional like Western like music or bands, when they change from the sound, it's like, oh my god, don't do it. Like everyone's just like very afraid of their bands changing from whatever sound they just sort of become accustomed to, or whatever feels normal to them. Whereas with K-pop, you're always changing sound. So that's cool for them to see, or to see them experiment in like rock music. And this whole type of band focused thing is, there's so many avenues you can take it down, and so it's cool to see them just sort of go down these different avenues and explore different aspects of rock music. And I feel like, yeah, I'd love to see something that they follow up on in the same vein as Best Part, because they executed it just as well as they did with Cover and everything in terms of vocals and how well that tied into instrumentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have a ton to say to build off what you guys said, but so I thought first, I'll get one thing out of the way, was I thought the drums and claps working off each other and the percussion was kind of cool. And now my main thing, hear me out. So I think like the synth beats that they kind of used throughout in the instrumental, I think it would have sounded cool if they replaced that with a banjo.
What?
So I think I don't know. Like when I heard it originally, I was like, "Is this a banjo or something?" I was like, "No, this is not a. This is like a synth or something." And I was like,
I thought you
and
hate
then it gave
country
me
music.
No, I don't hate country music. I hate how gimmicky it is in the modern country
music.
Yeah, like it's just a huge gimmick. But yeah, no, like if they made it a banjo, I think that would be so cool, giving it kind of like a more like unconventionally twangy sound that we normally don't really hear from Day6, and it would have been epic.
You heard it here first, folks. Day6, use a banjo in your next single.
Use a banjo.
Yeah, someone tweet Jay and tell him to use a banjo.
Yeah, but I can hear it like
yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah. Banjo.
Yes.
There we go.
Kazooie.
What a great way to end this review. Selling DAY6
more banjo.
banjo.
Use more
More
banjo.
banjo.
That's forget cowbell. Use more banjo.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we'll get into our ratings now. For me, I gave it a 6 out of 7 for music. I liked pretty much all the songs for the most part. There were a couple that weren't too stand out, like didn't stand out a ton, but they weren't bad. So I didn't really mark them down too much. And then I give them 2 out of 3 for concept. Music video, like I said, I was a typical band music video, but like it still had some cool stuff going for it. So overall, an 8 out of 10. Pretty good album. Definitely, it's not one of their best. I think I gave Sunrise like a 10 or whatever. I've probably given some of
Sunrise
their
is a
albums a 10.
Sunrise,
in my opinion.
So it's definitely not their best, but it is not a bad album.
did we explain our new rating metrics to you, by the way?
Or do you remember
So
our
you guys
rating
don't
metrics?
have a bias point?
No,
We got rid of the bias point. It's
because
just
the
7
free
for
space.
music, 3 for concept.
Yeah, so
So-
just
Okay.
visuals, biases, like how much you like the outfits or the video, that sort of thing. So yeah, out of 7 for music.
Okay, yeah, so for me, it's 7 out of 7 for music because even if I didn't like it first listen, I know that I'm gonna like it as time progresses on.
You're just insuring against
Especially
yourself.
if I see them live. Yeah, I mean, like, okay, if just basing my thoughts on that album like the very first time, and like if I have no bias towards this group, maybe a 6 out of 7. But because I know that I will like everything because I freaking adore Day6, it's at 7 out of 7. And then for music video, yeah, I guess because I don't find myself wanting to return to it, unlike Dance Dance, 2 out of 3. So overall, 9 out of 10.
Oh snap!
Yeah, because I mean,
Gross.
like, yeah, the video, like, I didn't feel like, yeah, it's like, it's happy, playing, kind of cool aesthetics, but there definitely past music videos have been much more intriguing and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't do anything too crazy. So on my end, I out of a total for the 7, I gave like a 5.5 for music. 2.5 of those points are attributed to the single. I would have given it a bit more had I not have, I guess, my sort of nitpicks about it, but I feel like I liked the rest of the album more than actual Time of Our Life, in all honesty. And despite me not always resonating with their singles, one thing I do like about Day6 is they very rarely have top heavy albums, in that like it's very rarely that you get like a good single and then just like you don't like any of the album tracks. Usually, yeah, the album tracks are always solid in their own right. And 2 out of 3 for concept. Nothing too crazy. I do like the use of color. I do like all the sort of sets they use, but yeah, it's nothing on par with. Because I love the music video for Days Gone By a lot. So I feel it didn't have any of like, I guess, the sort of the energy that had. But I mean, it still did good. So 7 out of 5, 7.5 for me total. I mean, it might sound low just to people that may not listen to me as much, but 7.5 is a pretty good score for me. I mean, I rarely give anything like with this new scoring metric. I've only given 3 or 4 albums a 9, and I haven't given any album a 10, and I've probably given like maybe 2 albums a 9.5. So yeah, 7.5 is a pretty good score for at least on my metrics.
All right. So for me, I gave a 6 out of 7 for music. Again, overall, I think every song was really good, good or great. And so while it isn't their best album by any means, I think it was definitely super solid and really strong. And then for concept, I gave a 2.5 out of 3. Like, again, while the MV wasn't as good as, like, let's say like Days Gone By, I still think it was pretty cool for being so, like, I don't want to say low budget, but it wasn't like oozing with
It was a box MV.
like yeah exactly. But I gave a 2.5 out of 3 just because I really loved the aesthetic they went for with the teaser photos. They were using like this kind of like paint drip with all these mixed different colors and stuff that I thought was really cool. The distortion and like the gravity font. Also, even the album art, I think it looks really cool and kind of emphasizes the whole gravity concept. So yeah, 2.5 out of 3 for concept. So overall, I gave it an 8.5.
Okay,
So
so
an 8.25
well,
overall.
we have another score with
So-
Cooper. He gave us 6.5.
Oh, we have Cooper's.
Yeah,
Okay, so
just, I
he
guess
pulls
that's-
it down.
Yeah, just to sum up, like our fourth, our fourth member's thoughts. He just thought that, or he just wants them to do something a bit more interesting. I guess, yeah, like I feel like for Cooper, like Time of Our Life sort of like set the tone for the rest of the album, in that he'd like them to do something a bit more interesting. A lot of it's getting a bit samey, so 6.5. But he's all over the place. Sometimes he gives stuff like a 3. Sometimes he gives things like a 10. So you never know with Cooper. So
7.9, so an
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, still gets an 8. I mean, yeah, right around where I'd put it. I mean, solid album. You know, definitely has its ups and downs, but I mean, DAY6 is probably like the spitting image of consistency in terms of just albums. There's nothing I don't think any of us have overtly hated from DAY6. It's just, I think, yeah, they do have really high standards in terms of just the quality that they put out album after album. So,
Right.
so yeah, everyone, what were your thoughts on DAY6, The Book of Us, Gravity? Did you like Time of Our Life? Did you like the high note in How to Love? Do you want to see another song be the single, or I don't know? Do you want them to see? Do you want to see them do something a bit different in terms of just style, or are they getting a bit samey? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Needs more banjo.
No, it does not need more banjo.
Comment 69 if you think it needs more banjo.
No, we reserved that for if you want to see
already used
Umu
that.
sing.
Okay.
All right, comment 96
Yes.
if you need more banjo.
Go, baby.
No.
And I think this is a really fun comeback song. I said combat.
Combat song, yes.
Yeah, it's a really fun.
When I'm raiding the jungles of Vietnam, I want to listen to Nature's "I'm So Pretty."
Yeah, let me run that back. I think this is a really fun comeback song.